Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Second Take. I am Armand Sadler. It's Friday. I'm feeling good. It's an exciting time to be a sports fan. Jill, how are you?
I'm great. I'm excited about all the sports we have to talk about too.
Yep, so let's dive right in. It is World Cup season. 2014 World Cup is underway. We have witnessed Brazil defeat Croatia from by the score of 3-1. We saw Mexico defeat Cameroon today, 1-0. There's currently another game going on right now. That match is between the Spain and the Netherlands, so that should be a pretty good game as well. And I'm not a huge soccer fan, but it's great to see all these countries rallying around their respective teams, and I'm really excited to see who comes out on top at the end of the World Cup.
Yeah,
Also,
yesterday's games were pretty fun. We had because Brazil's the host country, obviously, and Neymar had a great game. He scored two of the goals, and everybody was excited about that because it was his first World Cup goals. The Spain and Netherlands game today is a rematch of the final World Cup game in the last World Cup, which Spain won. So this is kind of like a redemption game for the Netherlands. So it could get fun.
yeah, definitely. Lots of excitement going on. Can't wait to see all the games and see who comes out on top. The PGA Tour is also going on right now. Martin Kamer has a pretty commanding lead at -10. The second and third place people, Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson, are tied at -2 or -2, however they like to score that. But PGA Tour is not as exciting as soccer, but a lot of golf fans around here, so can't wait to see who comes out on top in there as well. We have the Stanley Cup finals, which the New York Rangers decided to make them interesting. The Los Angeles Kings went up 3-0 in the series. The first two games they went to overtime and won, and the third game they completely shut the Rangers out. And I expected the sweep. I wanted to see it go to Game 7, but it looked like the Kings were just far too good to lose to the Rangers, and the Rangers decided to make the series interesting in Game 4. We will be traveling back to Los Angeles for Game 5. Could be the clincher for the Kings. I think they're going to do it. I think the Rangers didn't want to get humiliated. No one wants to get swept in the finals. It's not a good feeling. LeBron James knows that, and that's what the Spurs did to him in his first finals appearance. We'll get into the Miami Spurs series later, but getting swept in the finals is not something you want to do. So good job, Rangers, on the win, but not looking too good for you right now. And we have the College Baseball World Series, which we talked about a little bit last week, so I'm going to go to Jill because I know she's so excited to talk about Texas.
Yes, Texas won. Yay! So we are now going to Omaha, and that is where the College World Series is, and that starts this week. It's basically, this could take up to like 2 weeks. They can be there for a really long time. It's going to be fun. There's a lot of great teams playing. However, Texas is not ranked very high to win. A lot of people are thinking Vandy might win it all. I don't know. We'll see what happens. You never know what's going to happen in this type of game, this type of setup. So it should be fun, and I definitely recommend tuning into some of it because it's some exciting games. I can promise that.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know what's going to happen in any college sport. There's always the projected number one, and we saw in March Madness that no number one won the finals, and in college football, the number one didn't make it. So we'll see. Maybe college baseball will be the same. Maybe Texas will be the Cinderella story. I'm sure you're hoping for that.
Oh, yeah. I'm always hoping for that.
Moving on to some NFL, we have the latest on the Cleveland Browns. Everyone knows I love my boy Johnny Manziel. However, Coach Mike Pettin released a statement that Brian Hoyer is significantly ahead of Johnny Manziel in the depth chart. Johnny Manziel has been very inconsistent over the past couple weeks, and Brian Hoyer has established himself as the starter. Mike Pettin also made a comment that Johnny Manziel hasn't been able to show himself completely because they haven't gone full pads against a full defense. So we'll see what's going on with that. But right now it's looking like Brian Hoyer is a starter. And we'll see. I mean, Mike Pettin can always change his mind. Johnny Manziel can step it up in training camp and in the preseason. You know, I'm hoping for that. But, again, it's up to Mike Pettin to see which quarterback he feels he'll be most successful with. Moving on, Jadeveon Clowney received sports hernia surgery this week. However, he's expected to make a full recovery and be back by training camp. I'm sure the Texans are very happy about that. He was the #1 draft pick. They're expecting great things out of him. Hearing about surgery before the season starts is not something you want to hear, but sports hernia surgery, they're not making a big deal out of it, so I guess Jadeveon Clowney will be fun. And now the latest on Donald Sterling, because that story will just never end, and we're gonna go to Jill for that one as well.
Oh yes, you know how much I love my boy Donald. So basically what happened is, I'm sure all of you heard that there was a bidding and someone bought the Clippers for $3 billion. We thought it was done. Donald Sterling announced he's dropping the lawsuit. Yay, it's over. No, it's not, because then a few days ago he says, I'm not dropping the lawsuit. I'm still suing the NBA for $1 billion. So it's back. Basically what's going to happen is that Donald Sterling's wife is trying to expedite the selling of the team so that this lawsuit doesn't happen and that Donald Sterling can't get the team. We thought that the owners were going to meet in June. It turns out they're meeting July 7th to decide if they're going to force him out. It's never going to end, guys. It's never going to end. And right now, he's suing the NBA because for a breach of contract, you know, expulsionary things and an antitrust suit, all this stuff that Donald Sterling is just whining about, which I've told y'all about many times, and he's taking full force against it. There's a very good chance that he is going in guns blazing, and he could win this lawsuit. And if he wins this lawsuit, he may still get the Clippers, but if he doesn't get the Clippers, and that means he gets $3 billion from whoever, I mean, in general, he's going to have that much money. Because, you know, he's racking up right now with this lawsuit, with selling the team, but it's never ending, and I feel so bad for the Clippers organization because I know this has been such a burden on them. And we're all waiting for the end, and I don't know if it's coming anytime soon, because I thought it was going to be great that he was dropping the lawsuit, and then, of course, he picks it right back up and comes right back into all of our lives.
Yeah, I believe a few weeks ago we said how 92% of the country or something like that voted that he was the most hated man in the country, and I believe that now it's more so the fact that he made those racist statements, but the fact that he's so confusing and he keeps going back on his word and then changing again and then going back and forth. I'm very frustrated by it. He's annoying me because he can't stick to one side. Do you want the team or do you not want the team? You were okay with selling it, and now you want a lawsuit for breach of contract. We don't know what you want. I don't know if you know what you want, but it's very frustrating.
I don't think Donald Sterling knows what he wants. I think he's old and confused, and he's just kind of really unsure what's going on and what he wants. And I said this to you already. This is going to be like the Joe Paterno thing at Penn State. Unfortunately, it's not going to be over until he passes away, because it was the same thing with Joe Paterno. Right? Joe Paterno passed away. No one talks about Penn State anymore. And it's going to be a very similar thing, and it's exhausting, and it, just as you said, it's one of the most annoying things in the world.
Absolutely. So I'm hoping that some consensus can be reached. Hopefully he just sells the team and gives up after a while, because I'm sure this is just as stressful on him as it is on us to hear and the Clippers organization. Like, someone who's constantly talking to lawyers and considering lawsuits and then pulling them back and then throwing them out there again. It has to be stressful on him, all this strategizing and planning. So do us all a favor and just give it up, please, honestly. Moving on, the very top draft prospect, Julius Randle, is reported to need foot surgery after the draft. He took to Twitter and said that is not true. My foot is fine. A couple league executives said that he had a foot injury in high school and they put a screw in his foot, but it didn't heal properly, so they all thought he needed foot surgery. His mother joined in on the debate and said, no, my son is fine. So, I mean, him not needing foot surgery would be good, because it's apparently his draft stock is falling, seeing as how he has an injury before the NBA season has even begun, before he's even went to a team. No team wants a guy who looks like he's going to have injury problems early on. So hoping for the best for him. And yeah, moving on to the Cleveland Cavaliers coaching search. They have reached out to Mark Jackson, probably the smartest thing that they could do. He has signed a contract with ESPN to be a broadcaster again, but I wouldn't let that hold them back. The Cleveland Cavaliers are in a very good position right now. with the number 1 draft pick. They have Kyrie Irving, the possibility of LeBron James coming back at some point. I think bringing in Mark Jackson as a coach would definitely help to elevate them as a team, and I support it. So keep reaching out. They haven't had an official interview with him yet, but he has been contacted. So developments will be coming on that. And now the really big topic in the NBA right now is the offseason and all these free agents. There's speculation of Russell Westbrook and Kevin Love wanting to play together and join forces in Los Angeles on the Lakers, which would be crazy if Kobe was still there when they went there. That would be a very good team. The Lakers would become competitive immediately. Kevin Love also made a statement that anyone would love to play in New York. Kevin Love is a person, therefore I consider him anyone. So I believe Kevin Love is saying he would be interested in playing for the New York Knicks, which would be pretty good move for him. Although Carmelo Anthony has stated that he's looking to opt out of his contract and test the free agency, and that would be a bad move for him financially, as New York Knicks can offer him a max contract of $129 million over 5 years, but any other team he goes to can only offer him $95 million over 4 years. But we know that Carmelo Anthony is looking to win rings, and the Boston Celtics are apparently interested in him and Kevin Love, and that would be a power big three with Rajon Rondo at point guard. I think that the Boston Celtics will become very competitive again. And then there's this very, very frustrating news that I heard yesterday, that the Miami Heat are looking to pick up Carmelo Anthony. And as a sports fan, it would make me not want to watch basketball anymore if Carmelo Anthony went to the Miami Heat, because it's just frustrating. Like, do teams really have to put together all these all-stars to be successful? I don't think that's what the San Antonio Spurs did. San Antonio Spurs just picked up good role players, and they've been successful. I mean, Tim Duncan is an all-star. Manu Ginobili was at one point. Tony Parker was at one point. But they didn't just go looking for all these great players. The San Antonio Spurs put certain players in certain places to play different roles, and that's what's made them successful.
They were built versus bought. That's the sign that's been in San Antonio, built versus bought, because the Miami Heat were bought. Mm-hmm. And let me have my quick reaction to rumors of people going to the Lakers. Yay! Come to the Lakers. I want that. And I don't know if we've said it on here, but Derek Fisher is the new coach of the New York Knicks, which can I be a coach? Like, it seems pretty easy. Is it that easy? I don't understand this. I think that that's going to be a problem, because Derek Fisher is very recently was a player, as in this literally 3 weeks ago. So will he have much authority over these players? I don't know. Will he have much authority over Carmelo? Doubt it. Carmelo going to the Heat, not going to happen. And I'll tell you why. Because Carmelo is the type of person and player who wants everything to be about him. He wants it to be his team. He goes into Miami, that's not his team. He is not the franchise player. That doesn't sit well with Carmelo. He wants everything to be about Melo. That's why he's on the Knicks. When you think the Knicks, who do you think? Carmelo. He is the franchise player, and he wants to remain such. Wherever he goes, that's what he needs to be. So is he going to the Heat? Absolutely not. And what would they do with Carmelo? Who are they going to move to make him in the game? Like, it's not going to work. So that's not even going to happen. I can shoot that down immediately. Not going to happen. I don't care how much money the Heat are offering. He's not going to do it. The Celtics, maybe. I still feel bad for Rondo because, you know, he had this big three with him and then everybody left. So, you know, Celtics, could they come back on the map if Melo's there? Maybe. I don't know. I think Melo's being a little bit of a drama queen right now. I don't know what else he needs. I mean, he has Phil Jackson in. Now he has a new head coach. Why are you whining? I think what he has at New York is probably the best he's going to get, honestly. So I would just stay there if I was him, but whatever. Kevin Love, Lakers, baby. We would like you, so come on over. But I'm telling you right now, Heat are not picking up anybody on my watch. I'm not allowing them to get Carmelo because they, as you said, it would honestly be unfair. You would be creating like it would just be a powerhouse, and it's just, what's the point of even having these other teams then? It just wouldn't make any sense. So I'm saying no. Carmelo, you're not going to Miami. It's done. Over. You're not going.
Yeah, you make a really good point about Carmelo Anthony needing to be the number one option. He was the number one option on the Denver Nuggets. He is the number one option on the New York Knicks. I look at Carmelo Anthony as a very immature player, despite the fact he's been in the league a long time. I don't think he would be able to handle the fact that he's not the number one guy. He's the ISO type player, and LeBron James likes to be the one to pass and dish and facilitate scoring. And if the ball goes to Melo, then Melo's not passing, and that's limiting Dwayne Wade's touches. That's limiting Chris Bosh's touches. That's limiting a lot of different players' touches. So it would be very, very unproductive. Also, the Miami Heat have some of the most underpaid stars on their team. If Carmelo came, that means everyone would have to take more pay cuts, and LeBron James is worth way more than what he's making right now. That's why everyone's speculating that LeBron James will be looking into free agency next summer, because he can easily make a lot more money, and he's not making it right now. I think that LeBron, Wade, and Bosh all also want more rings. Melo obviously wants rings, so perhaps that would motivate them to take pay cuts. The fact that bringing in Carmelo Anthony would increase their chances of getting rings, but like I said, Carmelo's very selfish. I don't think that they would be able to play well together. It would be like an all-star game where he would just go one-on-one every time he gets the ball, and there just wouldn't be much team chemistry there. Like you said,
I agree. If Carmelo's on the Heat, they're not winning any rings. I'll tell you that right now. Because we're about to ease into the finals, just I can tell, but we're looking at, right now in the finals, we're seeing a team that is known for its assists. I mean, this is a stupid amount of assists, and that's the Spurs. Pass, 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 and you know what? It works. It works really well. The Heat, extremely selfish team. We all know this. Very selfish players. Doesn't work as well. That's why they're losing. So putting Carmelo on that team, it's just going to be even worse. I can guarantee it would be games where Carmelo with 50, everyone else with like 3, because he's not going to share that ball. And it's it would be a mess. You don't want to deal with this. It's not going to happen. Just let it go, because this is a terrible idea. When I heard this, I was just like, I didn't even think, oh, this could be a crazy team. I just thought this is doomed for failure, because Carmelo, just like you said, he's a very immature player. He's like, as a person, I mean, like, he's very selfish. He wants it all to be about him. I understand. You're pretty great, Carmelo. I'd be the same way. That being said, you cannot go to a team that already has a star, because you want that star role, and LeBron's not the type to share the main star role. You can only have one number one star. Yep. That's just how it is. People are always going to say Miami Heat, LeBron. They're not going to say Miami Heat, LeBron, and Melo.
No. Yep. Absolutely. I do think that LeBron and Melo want to play together. They do have a close relationship, but I think that they need to stick to friends, because as teammates, I just don't think that it would work out very well. I want to harp on Derek Fisher before we jump into these interesting NBA Finals. Derek Fisher is the new coach of the New York Knicks. He and Phil Jackson were very interested in Melo sticking around. Apparently, Derek Fisher was going to wear his 5 championship rings when he met with Carmelo to let him know that he's a championship player and he believes he can be a championship coach. However, I don't see Derek Fisher really pulling much of the strings. I see Phil Jackson having a huge influence on everything Derek Fisher does. I think that the triangle offense will absolutely be implemented in New York. I could see Phil Jackson hanging out on the bench some games and throwing out orders to players. So I don't really know how much authority Derek Fisher is going to have. I think that he's just a person to give the title, but overall it's going to be Phil Jackson pulling the strings. And now these NBA Finals, it's been a crazy 4 games so far. I projected Miami to win in 6 or 7. The Miami Heat are currently down 3-1. They've lost their last 2 games at home, and that's one of the things I said. I said that Miami's going to get their wins at home, and all they needed was a win in San Antonio or 2, and they would win the series. And they've lost their 2 games at home. The Miami Heat get 1 more game in Miami, and it's not looking like they're going to do it. It's looking like they're not even going to make it to Miami. Game 5 will be in San Antonio. It's looking like San Antonio is gonna win this series. And why? Selfless. Their ball movement and their assists, like Joe said, that they're crazy. Did they find the best option and they maximize on it? They put up 41 points in the first quarter last game, 71 at the half, I believe. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Their field goal percentages the last 2 games have been crazy. I believe it was a 71% field goal percentage in Game 3 and 59.4 in Game 4. That's above 50%. But 71% is crazy. Like it's the Spurs just look ready, and I I felt that they couldn't match up to the Heat and play them well, and I was completely wrong. And I take full responsibility for being wrong in my prediction. The San Antonio Spurs look like the better basketball team, and it's looking like the San Antonio Spurs will be the 2014 NBA champions, and Tim Duncan will be holding up that MVP trophy.
I was right, so I'm just going to rub that in real quick. I said there will be no three-peat, and there will be no three-peat. Done. Actually, I want to talk a little bit, like you said, about the shooting percentage. Actually, in Game 3, up until the half, I believe the Spurs had a 90% shooting, like that. Unreal. Even though they ended the game with like 70, that's still unreal. So let's just say hats off to the Spurs real quick, because that's pretty incredible. I don't want to bash LeBron right now, because I feel bad for LeBron. In the last game, he scored as much as the rest of the Heat did. You can't do it all on your own. I've seen this with the Thunder with Kevin Durant, and I'm seeing it with LeBron right now. You cannot do it all. And yes, LeBron is pretty great and all, but he can't single-handedly win this, and I feel bad for him. LeBron, I'm done bashing you for a little bit. Yes, you were a baby with your cramps, and that annoyed me, but I respect you so much, and Phoebe wanted to join in the conversation. And I just want to say that I am sorry that this is how it's going. But the Spurs are the champions, and you know what? You got to bow down to greatness. I think after this year, especially if they win, Tim Duncan is out of there. Popovich is out of there. Tony Parker may be out of there. I think everyone's going to retire, because why not end it on a high note? That's what I would do. So that seems to be the way it's going to go.
Yeah, Tim Duncan actually has until June 23rd, I believe, to opt in or opt out to his fifth year on his contract. Tony Parker's still relatively young. I believe he's 32, 33, so I think he has some time left. Ginobili's up there as well, so I can see him retiring. But, yeah, the Spurs just look unstoppable. And LeBron James hasn't been playing badly. Like you said, he scored as much as the rest of the team. The Miami Heat are currently looking like the Cleveland Cavaliers when LeBron was on the team. It's like no one wants to play anymore. It makes no sense. They have Dwayne Wade, who has 3 rings. They have Chris Bosh, who has 2 rings. Ray Allen, who's a veteran. They have lots of veterans, lots of people who know how to play in the playoffs and play under pressure. But it's looking like everyone's like, oh, LeBron, just do it for us because we don't want to. It makes no sense. Like, that's the whole reason that team was put together. The first year the Big Three came together in Miami, their chemistry was lacking. They didn't really know how to play together well, so they lost to the Mavericks. The second year, they got it together. Last year, they got even better. This year, they're looking like they've never played together before. Like, they don't know what basketball is besides LeBron James. LeBron James just went back to his Cleveland days where he's putting up big numbers because he has to, because no one else wants to contribute. And that's very unfortunate. Looking forward, Dwayne Wade is only getting older. A lot of their veterans are only getting older. The only person that they're guaranteed to have next season is Norris Cole. He's the only one who's under contract. So
Mario Chalmers needs to get out of there. Everybody is hating on Mario Chalmers. He has literally been non-existent. Just non-existent. And
yeah.
I can't even explain to you what the issue is, but I do think it's a lot about the selflessness of the Spurs. And then you're seeing Kawhi Leonard. He had a terrible game 1, and everyone was bashing him. He came back, and he's like, all right, I think I'm going to take it over. And he has been insane. There's no answer for Kawhi Leonard. I have said this many times. When you are playing the Heat, you know who you need to cover. You need to cover the Big Three, and then you're basically okay. You have to cover every single person on the Spurs. And you know what? You can't, because you don't have 10 guys on the court to double coverage all these guys. You have 1 to match up with all of them, and you can't do it. That's why they're losing, and that's why they will lose. It's too hard to play a complete team like that, and that's just how it is this year. And the Spurs are playing with a chip on their shoulder. Last year sucked. Like, that hurt them. I can tell that sucked, and they've had to see the Heat be in the headlines week in and week out for the entire year. So yeah, they're playing with a little bit of redemption, and they're gonna win. It's just they're the better team right now, and I said that they had a better year than the Heat did this year. It's a different finals than last year, and you just can't. There's no answer for how the Spurs play.
Yeah.
They play textbook basketball, and it's incredible. They know how to assist. They know how to pass the ball. They know how to be a team, as the Heat do not. They know how to be their selfish players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard was one of the people that every analyst is talking about going to the series. They said that Miami had no answer for Kawhi Leonard, and if the Spurs do win this series, it's because Kawhi Leonard has a big series. Like Joe said, he had the bad game one, but when one player on the Spurs has a bad game, the other 11 step up. Boris Diaw has had a great series. Danny Green started off shaky, but he's been doing well the past couple games. Kawhi Leonard stepped it up games 2 through 4. Tim Duncan, obviously always great. Manu Ginobili has been good enough for them. He hasn't been putting up crazy numbers, but he's been good. He's been what they need him to be.
Yeah, because he had to step back. Because if Kawhi is going off, Manu has to chill. And that's just how it works. So that's how it's been. Manu Ginobili had like 5 points the last game, but that's okay because Kawhi Leonard had over 20 points. It worked out. And I think Greg Popovich had some really great coaching moves. As I said, I've said this many times that I believe he's the only real coach left in the NBA. And he benched Tiago Splitter and put in Boris Diaw, and that kind of hit Tiago Splitter pretty hard. And then he came back, and he was playing pretty well. So everybody on that team is willing to do it, and I don't think that the Heat are the same. When LeBron's not on the court, the rest of them are just like, so what are we supposed to do? What's the play call? LeBron's not on the court, so who do we pass it to?
No.
They can't. You know, Eric Spoelstra, you should be doing better than this. This is why I don't think you're a real coach.
I agree. I think that Greg Popovich is obviously the best coach in the NBA. It's like he just knows who to play on certain days, and they just completely go off. Boris Diaw started one game. He had a great game. When Tiago starts, he does well. I really don't. I don't know what's in Popovich's head that makes him such a great coach, and he just has intuition where he knows who's going to be playing well, but it seems like he's always making the right decision. And as we look to Game 5 in San Antonio, all the Miami Heat can really hope for,
done.
Yeah, all the Miami Heat can really hope for is LeBron James to score 50, 60, 70 points because it's looking like no one else wants to contribute. No one else wants this ring. I'm really not. Dwayne Wade's been okay. Chris Bosh has been okay, but I've seen better from both of them, and I don't really understand what's gotten into them.
The Heat bench is just not as deep as the Spurs. The Spurs has probably the best bench in the NBA, and the Heat don't. So who are they really a competition when LeBron is sitting out and D Wade's sitting out? No, they're not even. It's not even hard. I could beat them. No, I couldn't. But you get what I'm saying. They're pretty easy to beat if, you know, 2 of their 3 are sitting out. So it's just an unfair matchup, and I don't know why it was so different last year, but, I mean, you can't stop the Spurs. They're putting up over 100 every single game. So even if LeBron scores 70, who's scoring that other 30? Because no one else on that team wants to score. LeBron, I give my hats off to you. Yes, you were a baby, but you know what? You're doing all you can, and, you know, sometimes you just got to take that L. It's over.
Yep. And as I was saying earlier, looking forward to the offseason. The only player that the Miami Heat have definitely returning is Norris Cole. So Bosh might leave. Wade wants to end his career on the Heat, so I don't think he'll be leaving. But LeBron James has to look at the Heat. I personally am not entirely sure if the Heat will be able to win another ring anytime soon with all the teams that are on the rise. OKC, Clippers, Warriors. The West is getting better every season. It seems like the East is getting worse.
I've said that coming into next year, the Warriors are the Trailblazers. Eyes on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't forget the Thunder. The Rockets, as Joe always argues, the Rockets are a good team. So the West is on the rise, and I'm not entirely sure if the Miami Heat will be able to match up against them if they lose a couple players and they age a year against all these young teams. So it might be in LeBron James' best interest to leave, get some more money. The Cavaliers are looking like a great destination if they pick up Andrew Wiggins like they're projected to. And there are a lot of other teams that I'm sure would love to have LeBron James. So if and when the Miami Heat lose this series, LeBron James has a lot of thinking to do. On that note, I would like to thank you all for tuning in today. There's a Stanley Cup Finals game tonight, Game 5. The Kings are looking to end it. There's World Cup soccer today, tomorrow, the next couple days. PGA Tour is still going on. You got the College World Series. Look out for Texas. Hook 'em, as Joe would say. So, yeah, there's sports are just amazing right now. It's a great summer, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.